Hello everyone, I remain Bitrus Christopher from Statistics Scribe. God's willing, in these tutorials I'm going to explain the type attributes of any variable in IBM SPSS statistics. So before I dive into the subject matter, I'd like you to know that a variable's type determines if a variable is numeric or character, quantitative or qualitative. It also dictates what type of statistical analysis methods are appropriate for that data. So in essence, what I'm saying is assigning the right variable type is paramount in any data analysis, as correctly identifying the variable type is important in obtaining accurate output or results. Okay. Mainly speaking, we have two types of variable types in IBM SPSS statistics, namely numeric and string. Now, under string, we have 7 variable types that are under string. For example, we have comma, we have dots, we have scientific notation, we have date, we have dollar, we have custom currency, and we have restricted numeric. Okay, so quickly I'm going to explain each of this as you follow. So let's dive into the subject matter. So now, under this test scores, for example, let's assume we want to define the variable type. But in this case, I just want to explain the concepts here. So now I'm clicking on here. Now I have numeric. This numeric is telling us that these are just variables that have data values that are recognized as numbers. Hence, they can be sorted numerically or entered into arithmetic calculations. Okay? Then the next thing is called the comma. Now, this comma, they are numeric variables that include comma that delimits every 3 places, that is to the left of the decimals, and use a period to delimit decimals. Remember, subsequently I said delimiters are the notations or the symbols, right, which are used to specify the boundary between digits. All right. So, and I also want you to take note of the fact that IBM SPSS statistics will recognize these values as numeric even if they contain commas or use scientific notation. Okay. Then the next thing we have is dots. Now, this dot is a numeric variable also, which include periods that delimit every 3 places to the left of the decimals and use a comma to delimit decimals. So it's just like the reverse of what? Comma. Okay. And I also want you to take note of the fact that IBM SPSS statistics will recognize these values even if they contain periods or use scientific notation. And the next thing we have is called scientific notation. Now, scientific notation as a variable type here means they are numeric variables whose values are displayed in standard form. Okay, simply put. Then the next thing we have is called the date. Now, date here in this case are numeric variables that are displayed in any standard calendar, date, or clock time formats. As you can see here, we have different calendar dates formats. So the next thing we have is called dollar. Now, this dollar is just numeric variables that contain a dollar sign before numbers. And I also want you to note the fact that commas may be used to delimit every 3 places to the left of the decimals, and a period may be used to delimit decimals. Okay. Then we have custom currency. Now, under custom currency, I'd like you to know that these are numeric variables that are displayed in a custom currency format, that is other countries or other currencies. Okay. So, and I also want you to take note of the fact that you must define the custom currency in the variable type window. Okay. And also, custom currency characters are displayed in the data editor window but cannot be used during data entry. Then the next thing is we have the string. Okay, like I said, the string, these are alphanumeric or character variables. The values in a string variables are treated as text. And I also want you to take note of the fact that the values of string variables may include numbers, letters, symbols, or combination of them all. Okay, so most times the string variables cannot be used in calculations, okay, meaningful calculations. So, and for example, we have the zip codes, the phone numbers, and stuff like that because their values cannot be used meaningfully in calculations. So in short, any written text is called a string. Okay. Then the next thing we have is restricted numeric, integer with leading zeros. So these are numeric variables whose values are restricted to non-negative integers. That is in standard format or scientific notation. And I'd also like you to take note of the fact that the values are displayed with leading zeros padding to the maximum width of the variable. Okay? And there's an information here for us. They said the numeric type honors the digit grouping setting, while the restricted numeric never uses digit grouping. Okay, so take note of this fact also. And I'd also like you to take note of the fact that it takes the width count from the right hand side. If the numbers are not up to the width count, it adds zeros. That makes the width count. Okay, and remember, there are no decimals in restricted numeric. So there are a whole lot of things to know about these variable types, and I hope you'll experiment it to see how each of these variable type operates. Okay, now quickly let me show you some things here. Under numeric, if you observe, we have width, we have decimal places. I don't want to explain this because we have their columns here, as you can see. Under comma here, we have width and decimal places. Under dot, we have width and decimal places. Under scientific notations, we have width and decimal places. But observe now, under date, we don't have that. We have date format. You can select any one here, okay? So here you can select anyone. Then we have dollar. Under dollar, we have types, the format here you want, and we have the width and we have the decimal places. Under custom currency, we have different ones you can select and customize. Then we have the width, decimal places. Then under string, we don't have that. We only have characters because these are alphanumeric or character variables, so it's just characters. So in this character, it just gives us the width of the character. So here we're going to explain that subsequently in the other variable type attributes. Okay, so quickly, these are the 9 variable types we have in IBM SPSS statistics. So now let's try to define each variable type for each variable in IBM SPSS statistics. But before then, I'd like you to know that some variables might have different variable types depending on the data analysis you want to perform. For example, income here, income, so let's say income in this case could be numeric, it could be comma, it could be dots, but it is best represented as dollar or custom currency because it has to do with money, okay? But in this case, there are so many options. So now let's dive into the subject matter. Test scores. This is numeric. Okay, it's already numeric. Then you click OK. The next thing is income. Income in this case could be either numeric, comma, dot, dollar, or custom currency. Okay, but in this case, I want to use the comma. Okay, because I want my income to be separated using comma delimiter. Okay, and I'd also like you to know that depending on which country you are, there are groups of thousands. So in the groups of thousands, some countries use comma delimiters, while some countries or regions use dot delimiters. Countries such as the USA, Mexico, or the UK, and so on, uses comma delimiters, while countries such as Spain, South Africa, or Brazil, and the likes use dot delimiters. Okay, so but it is actually best to use space, just like the 22nd General Conference on Weights and Measures in 2003 declares that the symbol for the decimal marker shall be either the period on the line or the comma on the line. It further reaffirmed that numbers may be divided in groups of threes in order to facilitate reading. Neither digits nor commas are ever inserted into the spaces between groups. Okay, for example, as you can see here, this is 5 million. We have space in between them, right? In between each 3-digit grouping. So this usage has therefore been recommended by the technical organizations such as the United States National Institute of Standards and Technology. But in this case, for explanation's sake, I just want you to get used to how each of these operates. So like I said, the income, I want to give it a comma delimiter, click on it. Then the population, Population also could be numeric, it could be comma, it could be dots, okay? And it could be in scientific notation on the assumption that the population is so large, okay? So, and now in this case, the population, I want it to be a dot. So it's a dot. I'm not saying it's a dot, it could be numeric anyway. It's just for explanation's sake, I want you to understand how to change them. Then speed. Now this speed I'm referring to speed, maybe speed of light in air, something like that. But the speed now could be numeric also. It could be comma, it could be dots, it could be scientific notation, okay? So in this case, I want speed to be scientific notation. For example, speed of light in air, 3.0 times 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. Okay, so I'm going to click on this. Then date, as usual, date is still date. You click on it. But under date, you can select any format, date format you'd like. In my own case, let's assume I prefer month, day, and year, two digits here. You can do that. If you prefer the day before the month, you can do that. You can scroll through and select what it is you want. If you want to add hours, minutes, or you want it to be year, month, day, hours, minutes, and seconds, okay? Either ways, you can actually do that, okay? If you want it to just be in minutes and seconds, fine. So either ways you want it, it's still the same. Now, let's assume I want mine to be, let's say, day, month, and so, then I'll click on it, okay? So maybe I want it to be day, and dots, month, dots, something like that with a period. So I'll click on it. That will be the formatting. So, I'll click OK. Selected. Then for tuition fees, now under tuition fees, because this has to do with money, in this case, I want to call it maybe dollar. Let's assume my tuition fee is in dollars. Then here you have different representations. Maybe it's a single digit amount, double digits, triple digits with maybe cents in it or fractions. Then you want comma, separators, stuff like that. Either ways you want to select, I can select anything I want to select. Forget about this with and decimal places because I'm going to explain them here. So let's assume I just want it to be like this. That's with thousands and decimal fractions, which is cents in this case since we are working with dollars. So I'll click on OK. Then the next thing we have is money. So under money here, it could still be either numeric, comma, dots, whichever thing you want it to be, but I want it to be a custom currency. It could be dollar too, but I just want you to get used to all the variable types, just like I said. So in this case, I want to use custom currency, okay? So you can define anything you want so that it won't carry the dollar sign, it will carry the sign you want it to carry. That means depending on the country or the currency you are operating on. So you now click OK. And the next thing is we have surname. Now, this surname, as you can see, surname, it's a string variable actually because it is a character variable, right? Or alphanumeric variable, but mostly it's a character variable. So it's going to be a string variable. So you can select the character you want it to carry, maybe 8 characters alone or 10 or whatever. You type and edit whatever it is you want, click OK. And the next thing is we have admission number. An admission number could also be numeric and it could be a restricted numeric or integer with leading 0. For example, you might have an admission number of 0001, okay, 0002, 0003, stuff like that, going like that, 015, 1765, stuff like that. So in this case, the admission number, I'm giving it restricted numeric so that we'll get used to it. And remember, restricted numerics do not contain decimal numbers, okay? So I'm giving it restricted numeric. So I'll click OK. And also remember the fact that in restricted numeric, right, like I said previously, I said that the values are displayed with leading zeros padded to the maximum width of the variable, all right? So you click OK. I hope you like this video and I anticipate to see you in the next video where I'm going to explain the width type. That's part 3, okay? So thank you for watching.